God say that sin is the transgression of the law, but we've never been taught the law that will make us sinners. See, sin is not like, oh, you a bad person and I'm a good person. Sin is just the transgression of God's laws. So if we not have been taught God's law, like you told me it was 12, it's actually 613. So all of those other laws that we are omitting, that actually makes us sinners. Does that make sense a little bit? Is it clicking? Now, this book is not a universal book. Everybody can't read this book. Only you can. Right? Because you know we came over here to America on slave ships, right? You know that, right? Did you know that's in the Bible? God said his chosen children for disobeying his words or his laws, the punishment for disobeying his laws or being in sin, one of those punishments was going to be transported around the world on slave ships. Read that for the brother.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
With what?
With ships.
So God said his chosen children for breaking his laws, they was going to have to go into slavery on slave ships, bro. The question is, who God talking to right here? He could only be talking to you. So why do they tell us that God loves everybody and he not even talking to everybody, bro? How is that possible? You ever wondered why every time you going into the ghettos and in the slums that the only people that you see is so-called black people? Why the white man ain't over here, the Japanese man ain't over here living amongst us? Why is it like that? Damn. You know, you go to Frisco and Plano and all that, who you see? Japanese man, the white man. You got a few of us up there. But I'm talking about, bro, when you come into the slums, it's 100% us. Why is it like that, though, bro? Did we make a coalition and say we just gonna all be hood niggas? That don't make sense to me. Why is it like that, though? The reason why it's like that, bro, is because God said for his chosen children, if they disobeyed his words, he was going to put curses upon them. Read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
You hear what they said? It say, it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hearken or listen unto the voice of the Lord thy God, which is the Bible, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses, is a curse a good or a bad thing? A curse could never be good for our people if they really knew. How would it help? The real answer to that question is, it would help them because they wouldn't be in sin anymore. You know what sin is, sister?
And hereby, we do know
What is
that
sin?
we know
Anything that's not right. Now,
if we keep
who determines what's right and what's wrong? God. Okay. Now, what does God say what's right and what's wrong?
It's all good, brother.
Right. Exactly. Now, how come we don't do that as a community of people? Okay. Now, did you know because we was not brought up like that is the reason why we are in this condition today? Because God said he has a chosen people. And that people is you. The same people that look just like you. He said that if they'll disobey his words, they was going to be in a condition like this. Go ahead. You recording? Go ahead. You good. Deuteronomy chapter 28. In verse 44.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 44.
Listen to this.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
The Lord said, because we want to disobey his words, he said other nations was going to lend to us everything that we need, and we was not going to be able to lend unto anybody what else that they need. Who is that talking to? Right. Look, the reason why it's like that is because we don't want to do what God says. You go to church. Okay, when you go to church, what do you do when you in church? Hold on, you say what? Say it again. Say it again.
Sing and eat.
Sing and dance. That's what we do in church. We sing and we dance in church. How come they're not teaching us about what's actually in this book? But if we're not supposed to go by what somebody else say, why do we continue to go? Now, did you know that God said that if you in sin, that he don't hear your prayers? Did you know that he said that? Go to John chapter 9 verse 31. Book of St. John chapter 9 verse 31. Read that.
The book of St. John, chapter 9 and verse 31. Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
Can you interpret that for me? Read that again.
Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
What does that mean to you?
Romance and all this.
In order for what? In order for him to hear your prayer. Huh? A prayer and a blessing is not the same, sister. You know what a blessing is?
Welcome to the kingdom.
See, we supposed to be good church-going people, and we supposed to know God, and we go to church, and I know my God, can't nobody tell me nothing about my God. That's the common answer that we get from people. But how is it that we don't know nothing about this book, really?
My reason
That's honest. That's honest. Sister, to be honest with you, everybody that's in them churches don't take God serious.
That's right. That's right.
You know how you know? Because our condition hasn't changed. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 1.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
So if the Lord say if we was going to keep his commandments, he was going to set us up all high above every nation on the planet. But we're not above high, above every nation on the planet. We're the lowest nation on the planet.
That's right. That's right.
See, that's the blessing. The blessing is if you actually learn and do what God say, then you're going to get the blessing, which is riding above everybody on the top of the planet.
That's right.
But if you disobey his words, then you're going to get the curse. Read verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
See, it's always a flip side. We just read the blessing. Now let's read the curse. Read.
If thou wilt not hearken
if thou wilt not hearken, read,
unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So God gave us an ultimatum. Either we gonna do good, get the blessing, or do not what he said and get the curse. Sister, you looking at the curse right now.
That's right.
You living the curse right now. You are a product of the curse right now. Because we don't really want to do what God say do. We want to do it how we want to do it. We want to do it how it make us feel good.
That's right.
But the Lord said in his covenant, either you do it how I say do it and you'll be blessed. If you don't do it how I say do it, you will be cursed. That's why we out here. To tell our people, you make the decision. If you want to be blessed or you want to be cursed. If you want to be blessed, you have to do what God say do. If you want to be cursed, you do not have to do what God say do. That's why we out here. And a lot of our people gonna die in this situation here.
Glory, bring them down. Honor, glory, bring them down.